Hey, gorgeous souls, I'm Emma, and I'm about to tell you the most devastating best friend betrayal revenge story that turned my maid of honor's affair with my fiancé into the reason I destroyed her wedding day, and how I used her own social media posts to expose her lies in front of 300 guests. When I discovered my best friend Rachel had slept with my fiancé Jake at my own bachelorette party, then convinced him to leave me for her, I didn't just cry and move on. I spent 4 months pretending to be their supportive friend while secretly documenting their affair through their own social media, then revealed everything during Rachel's wedding speech, destroying her marriage before it even started and getting Jake arrested for stealing my $50,000 wedding fund. But here's where this best friend revenge gets absolutely insane. Rachel hadn't just stolen my fiancé. She'd been systematically sabotaging my relationships for 5 years while pretending to be my closest confidant, and Jake had been embezzling money from our shared accounts to fund his affair with her. When I exposed both their crimes at her wedding, Rachel lost her husband and her freedom while I got everything back plus revenge. This story has everything: maid of honor betrayal, bachelorette party affairs, wedding sabotage, financial theft, and the kind of friendship revenge that turned one night of betrayal into a lifetime of consequences. Y'all ready for this wedding disaster? Because this is how being betrayed by your best friend became the foundation for their complete destruction. Beautiful souls, let me take you back to 8 months ago when I thought Rachel and I had an unbreakable 10-year friendship, completely unaware that she'd been sabotaging my love life while planning to steal my fiancé at my own bachelorette party. I'm Emma Parker, 28 years old, and I work as a marketing manager while planning what I thought would be the perfect wedding to my fiancé Jake Sullivan. Rachel Martinez, 29, had been my best friend since college and was serving as my maid of honor for the wedding I'd been planning for 8 months. "Emma, you're like the sister I never had," Rachel would tell me constantly. "I want your wedding to be absolutely perfect because you deserve the best." Jake Sullivan, 30, was a successful real estate agent who'd proposed 6 months earlier, with a beautiful ring and promises of a perfect future together. "Rachel is amazing," Jake would tell me about my best friend. "I'm so glad you have such a supportive friend helping with the wedding." Rachel had been incredibly involved in wedding planning, helping with vendor selection, dress shopping, and coordinating all the bachelorette party details. "I want to handle all the stressful details," Rachel would insist. "My job is to make sure you enjoy every moment of this experience." Our friendship seemed stronger than ever as we planned the wedding together, with Rachel often staying late to help with invitations and decorations. Having Rachel as my maid of honor is perfect, I would tell people. She knows exactly what I want and handles everything beautifully. Jake and Rachel got along well, which I appreciated since some of my previous boyfriends had found my close friendship overwhelming. "Jake understands how important our friendship is," Rachel would say. "He's not threatened by our bond like some insecure men." Rachel insisted on planning my entire bachelorette party weekend in Miami, claiming she wanted to create the perfect celebration for my last days of being single. "I'm handling every detail," Rachel told me. "All you need to do is show up and have the time of your life. I've booked the most amazing hotel suite and planned activities you'll never forget," Rachel promised while organizing the weekend. Rachel also suggested that Jake and his groomsmen should have their bachelor party the same weekend in the same city for coordination convenience. "It'll be easier if both parties are in Miami," Rachel reasoned. "We can share transportation and maybe meet up for a group dinner." I thought Rachel's suggestion was practical and appreciated her thoughtfulness about logistics and cost savings. "Rachel always thinks of everything," I told Jake when he agreed to the coordinated bachelor party plan. Looking back, Rachel's insistence on controlling every aspect of both parties should have been a red flag about her true intentions. Rachel also invited several women I didn't know well to my bachelorette party, claiming they were fun party girls who would make the weekend more exciting. "These girls know how to have a good time," Rachel said about her additional guests. "They'll make sure your party is unforgettable." The guest list seemed unusually large for an intimate celebration, but I trusted Rachel's judgment about creating the perfect bachelorette experience. The Miami Bachelorette weekend became the most devastating experience of my life when I discovered Rachel and Jake together in a hotel room that should have been celebrating my upcoming marriage. On Saturday night, after an evening of clubs and drinking, I returned to our hotel suite early because I felt sick from too much alcohol. "I'm going to bed early," I told Rachel. "You girls keep partying without me." "Feel better, sweetie," Rachel said with fake concern. "I'll check on you later." Around 2 a.m., I woke up feeling better and decided to find Rachel to thank her for the amazing party and apologize for leaving early. I walked through the hotel looking for Rachel or the other bachelorette party guests, assuming they were still celebrating somewhere in the building. When I approached Jake's bachelor party suite to ask if they'd seen the girls, I heard familiar voices through the door. I used Jake's room key, which I had for emergencies, and discovered Rachel and Jake in bed together, obviously having sex. "Oh my God," I whispered in shock, watching my fiancé and best friend betray me in the most devastating way possible. They were so intoxicated and focused on each other that they didn't notice me standing in the doorway documenting their affair with my phone. I quietly recorded several minutes of video evidence before leaving the room to process what I'd witnessed. My fiancé and my best friend are having sex during my bachelorette party, I thought while trying to understand the complete betrayal. The discovery destroyed everything I thought I knew about the two most important people in my life. Gorgeous souls. Confronting Rachel and Jake about their affair led to the most calculated manipulation when they convinced me that their betrayal was somehow my fault and that they were meant to be together. The next morning, I confronted Rachel and Jake separately about what I'd witnessed, expecting apologies and explanations for their betrayal. "Rachel, I saw you with Jake last night," I told my best friend privately. "How could you sleep with my fiancé during my bachelorette party?" "Emma, we were drunk and it just happened," Rachel said with fake remorse. "It doesn't mean anything. We both feel terrible about it. It was a mistake that will never happen again," Rachel continued her lies. "Please don't let one drunken night ruin our friendship or your wedding." When I confronted Jake, his response was even more devastating and manipulative. "Emma, being with Rachel made me realize we might not be right for each other," Jake said cruelly. "Maybe this happened for a reason. Rachel and I have a connection that I've never felt before," Jake continued his betrayal. "I think we need to postpone the wedding while I figure out my feelings." "You deserve someone who's completely sure about marrying you," Jake said with false concern while destroying our relationship. Instead of taking responsibility for their affair, Rachel and Jake made me feel like I was overreacting to their natural attraction. "Sometimes these things just happen," Rachel told me. Fighting it would be dishonest to everyone involved. "Emma, you want Jake to be happy, don't you?" Rachel manipulated my love for both of them. "If he's happier with me, isn't that what matters?" Jake officially called off our wedding 2 weeks after the bachelorette party, claiming he needed time to explore his feelings for Rachel. "I can't marry you while having feelings for someone else," Jake said while ending our engagement. "It wouldn't be fair to either of us. Rachel and I are going to try dating to see if our connection is real," Jake announced his immediate transition from my fiancé to my best friend's boyfriend. The wedding cancellation left me responsible for thousands of dollars in non-refundable deposits and vendor contracts. Most wedding vendors don't refund deposits for canceled weddings, I discovered while trying to recover our $30,000 in payments. Jake had control of our shared wedding account containing $50,000, which he claimed was needed for cancellation fees and final payments. I'll handle all the vendor cancellations, Jake offered. You don't need to deal with the stress of unwinding everything. I trusted Jake to manage the financial aspects while I focused on emotional recovery from the betrayal and public embarrassment. At least Jake is being responsible about handling the wedding cancellation, I thought while grieving the loss of my relationship and friendship. Several weeks later, I discovered that Jake had transferred most of the wedding fund to his personal accounts rather than paying vendor cancellation fees. Jake stole our wedding money, I realized when vendors began contacting me about unpaid bills. He's been lying about handling the cancellations. As I processed the betrayal, I began remembering suspicious incidents from our 10-year friendship that suggested Rachel had been sabotaging my relationships systematically. Rachel always found problems with my boyfriends, I remembered her pattern of criticism and interference in my romantic relationships. Every guy I've dated has had issues that Rachel pointed out, I realized her role in my previous breakups. Rachel had a history of befriending my boyfriends and creating situations that led to relationship problems and eventual breakups. Rachel would invite my boyfriends to hang out without me, I recalled her boundary violations in previous relationships. She always claimed she was looking out for me, I understood her manipulation tactics that had destroyed multiple relationships. Rachel's interference had prevented me from having successful long-term relationships until Jake, who had seemed immune to her manipulation. Rachel waited 5 years to find the right moment to steal a fiancé instead of just a boyfriend. I realized the calculated nature of her betrayal. Her role as maid of honor had given her perfect access to create the affair opportunity during my bachelorette party. Rachel planned the entire Miami weekend to facilitate stealing Jake. I understood that the betrayal hadn't been spontaneous. The systematic pattern of sabotage proved that Rachel had never been a genuine friend, but rather a predator who destroyed my relationships for entertainment. Beautiful souls, instead of cutting contact with Rachel and Jake, I pretended to accept their relationship while secretly documenting their affair and planning the most devastating wedding day revenge. 3 weeks after discovering their affair, I contacted Rachel and Jake to tell them I was ready to accept their happiness and maintain our friendships. I've had time to process everything, I told them during a coffee meeting. I want you both to be happy, even if it's with each other. Emma, you're being so mature about this, Rachel said with relief. I was terrified that we'd lost our friendship forever. I love you both too much to let this destroy our relationships. I performed forgiveness while planning their destruction. Jake and I want to take things slowly and see if we're really compatible, Rachel explained their relationship timeline. We hope you'll be supportive as we figure out our feelings, Jake added, clearly relieved that I wasn't going to cause problems. My fake acceptance allowed me to maintain access to their lives while they believed they'd escaped consequences for their betrayal. Emma is handling this so well, Rachel told mutual friends. She's being incredibly supportive of our new relationship. I'm lucky that Emma is such a good friend, Jake said to People. She wants us to be happy even though this situation is complicated. My performance convinced them that I was weak and naive rather than strategic and planning revenge. I began systematically documenting Rachel and Jake's relationship through their social media posts, creating a timeline of their affair and lies. They're posting constantly about their new relationship, I observed while screenshotting their romantic content. Rachel posted photos from dates that occurred during my engagement, proving their affair had been ongoing before the bachelorette party. Dinner with my amazing man was posted 2 weeks before my bachelorette party, showing their relationship had started earlier than they claimed. Jake and I are so happy appeared regularly, often with location tags that proved they'd been together when they claimed to be busy with other activities. I also documented their use of my money for their relationship activities, as Jake continued accessing our shared accounts. Jake is taking Rachel to expensive restaurants using our wedding fund money. I tracked their spending through bank statements. They're planning vacation trips together using money they stole from me. Their social media showed luxury activities funded by theft. Rachel also posted about wedding planning, revealing that she and Jake had gotten engaged just 2 months after stealing him from me. She's planning the exact wedding she helped me plan. I realized Rachel was stealing not just my fiancé but my entire wedding vision. The social media evidence provided a comprehensive record of their lies, theft, and calculated betrayal. When Rachel invited me to be a bridesmaid at her wedding to Jake, I accepted enthusiastically while planning to destroy their ceremony. "Emma, I know this is weird, but I'd love for you to be in my wedding party," Rachel said with fake sincerity. "Having you there would mean everything to me," Rachel continued her manipulation. "You're still my best friend despite everything. I'd be honored to be your bridesmaid," I replied while planning her humiliation. "Your wedding should be perfect. Jake and I want you to feel included in our happiness," Rachel said, not knowing she was inviting her own destruction. Rachel's wedding was planned for 6 months later at an expensive venue with 300 guests, including many people who knew about her affair with my former fiancé. "Everyone knows Rachel stole Jake from Emma," mutual friends would whisper. "It's awkward that Emma is being so supportive." My role as bridesmaid gave me perfect access to wedding planning and the opportunity to plan my revenge for maximum impact. "I'll help with whatever you need," I offered while volunteering for wedding tasks that would position me for sabotage. Rachel assigned me to give a speech during the reception, providing the perfect platform to expose her crimes to 300 witnesses. "Emma's speech will be so touching," Rachel told people. "She's going to talk about friendship and finding happiness." Rachel had no idea that my speech would expose her affair, theft, and systematic manipulation using her own social media evidence. While maintaining my fake friendship, I investigated Jake's theft of our wedding fund and gathered evidence for criminal prosecution. Jake stole $35,000 from our shared wedding account. I documented through bank records and vendor payment tracking. He used our money to fund his affair with Rachel. Credit card statements showed expensive dates and gifts during our engagement. Jake lied about paying vendor cancellation fees. I discovered that most vendors had never been contacted about cancellations. I also found evidence that Jake had been planning the theft for months, gradually transferring money before the affair was exposed. Jake moved money to hidden accounts weeks before the Bachelorette party. Financial records showed premeditated theft. He planned to steal our wedding fund regardless of whether I discovered the affair. The evidence proved criminal intent. The financial documentation would provide grounds for criminal charges, while my speech would provide public humiliation. Jake and Rachel will face both legal consequences and social destruction. I planned their complete downfall. My fake friendship had given me access to evidence that would send Jake to prison while destroying Rachel's reputation permanently. Gorgeous souls, Rachel's wedding day became the most spectacular revenge when I used my bridesmaid speech to expose her affair timeline and Jake's theft while 300 guests watched their perfect day become a criminal confession. Rachel's wedding day arrived with beautiful weather and perfect decorations at an expensive country club venue overlooking the city. "Everything looks absolutely perfect," Rachel told me while getting ready. "This is going to be the most amazing day of my life. You deserve all the happiness in the world," I replied while preparing to destroy her in front of everyone she cared about. Jake looked nervous during the ceremony, perhaps sensing that something felt wrong about marrying his former fiancé's best friend. "I can't believe we're actually getting married," Jake told his groomsmen. "Sometimes I feel guilty about how everything happened with Emma." "Emma has been so supportive," Rachel told her bridesmaids. "Her speech is going to make everyone cry happy tears." The 300 wedding guests included many people who knew the full story of Rachel stealing Jake from me during my bachelorette party. "This is such an awkward situation," guests whispered about the unusual wedding dynamics. "Emma is being incredibly gracious." I had prepared a comprehensive presentation disguised as a heartfelt speech about friendship and love, complete with photos and timeline evidence. "My speech will surprise everyone," I thought while watching Rachel and Jake exchange vows built on lies and theft. The wedding reception began with dinner and dancing before speeches were scheduled to start the evening program. When introduced to give my bridesmaid speech, I approached the microphone with a tablet containing all the evidence I'd gathered over 4 months. "Thank you all for being here to celebrate Rachel and Jake's special day," I began while 300 guests gave me their attention. "I've known Rachel for 10 years, and I want to share the real story of how she and Jake found their true love," I announced my intentions clearly. "This is a love story about patience, planning, and getting exactly what you want," I continued. While Rachel smiled expectantly. Rachel and Jake's relationship began during my bachelorette party in Miami, I said as Rachel's face started showing concern. "But their connection actually started much earlier," I revealed while displaying their social media timeline on the venue's presentation screen. Here's a photo Rachel posted 2 weeks before my bachelorette party. I showed evidence of their pre-existing affair. "Dinner with my amazing man," I read Rachel's caption while guests realized they were seeing proof of betrayal during my engagement. And here's Jake posting about his perfect evening the same night Rachel was supposedly helping me with wedding planning. I continued the timeline revelation. "Rachel tried to stop me, but the microphone system and screen were under my control. As the designated speech giver, I systematically presented 4 months of evidence showing Rachel and Jake's affair timeline, financial theft, and systematic lies to family and friends. Rachel and Jake had been dating for 6 weeks before my bachelorette party. I proved their affair predated their claimed drunken mistake. Jake stole $35,000 from our shared wedding account to fund his relationship with Rachel. I displayed bank records showing their theft. Here are credit card statements showing Jake paying for expensive dinners with Rachel during our engagement. I provided comprehensive financial evidence. Rachel posted about vacation trips with Jake 2 days after telling me she was working extra shifts. I showed their lies about whereabouts and activities. This wedding is being paid for with money Jake stole from our shared account. I revealed that their entire celebration was funded by theft. The 300 guests sat in shocked silence as they witnessed the complete exposure of Rachel and Jake's criminal relationship. "Rachel, you've been lying to everyone for months," I addressed her directly. "Your marriage is built on theft and betrayal. Jake, you're a thief who stole money to fund an affair," I continued while he sat frozen in horror. Rachel tried desperately to defend herself, but the evidence was overwhelming and undeniable to everyone present. "Emma is lying," Rachel said weakly. "She's just bitter about our happiness." "The evidence is your own social media posts," I pointed out. "Your own words prove everything I'm saying." I concluded my speech by announcing that criminal charges had been filed against Jake for theft and that police were waiting outside to arrest him. Jake Sullivan is under federal investigation for theft of $35,000 from shared financial accounts, I announced to the stunned wedding guests. Federal agents are here tonight to arrest Jake for wire fraud and financial theft. I revealed the legal consequences waiting outside. As if on cue, federal agents entered the reception venue to arrest Jake while 300 wedding guests watched in shock. "Jake Sullivan, you're under arrest for wire fraud and theft," the lead agent announced during what should have been the couple's first dance. Jake was handcuffed in his wedding tuxedo while guests recorded the dramatic arrest on their phones. "You have the right to remain silent," the agent continued reading Miranda rights while Rachel screamed and cried. "This can't be happening." Rachel sobbed while watching her new husband get arrested at their wedding reception. The wedding reception immediately ended as guests left in shock, discussing the dramatic revelations and arrests they'd witnessed. "I can't believe Rachel and Jake stole money," guests were saying while leaving. Emma's evidence was overwhelming. Rachel's perfect wedding day became a public humiliation and criminal prosecution that destroyed her reputation permanently. Rachel's wedding will be remembered as the day her husband got arrested for theft. The social consequences were immediate and lasting. "My revenge was complete. Rachel's marriage was destroyed before it began. Jake faced federal prosecution, and 300 people knew the truth about their crimes. Gorgeous souls, Jake's federal prosecution and Rachel's social destruction became the perfect ending to my revenge when their theft conviction sent him to prison while she lost everything including her job and family relationships. Jake's federal trial for wire fraud and theft was swift due to the comprehensive evidence I'd provided to prosecutors. The defendant systematically stole $35,000 from shared accounts to fund an affair. Prosecutors outlined Jake's crimes clearly. Bank records show deliberate theft over several months while deceiving his fiancé about financial management. The evidence was overwhelming. Jake was convicted on all federal charges and sentenced to 30 months in federal prison plus full restitution. "Your theft violated the trust of someone who loved you," the judge noted during sentencing. "Your crimes enabled adultery and deception. Jake Sullivan must repay $35,000 plus interest and court costs." The restitution order included additional financial penalties. Jake's conviction made local news as an example of how financial infidelity can lead to federal prosecution. Sullivan case shows how theft between partners can result in federal charges. Headlines highlighted the broader legal implications. Jake's real estate license was revoked due to his fraud conviction, ending his career permanently. Real estate professionals cannot hold licenses with federal theft convictions, regulatory authorities explained his permanent ban. Jake entered federal prison while his marriage to Rachel collapsed under the weight of criminal conviction and social humiliation. Rachel's reputation was destroyed permanently by the wedding speech evidence and her association with Jake's criminal conviction. No one trusts Rachel anymore. Former friends explained their decision to cut contact. "She's proven to be a liar and manipulator. Rachel betrayed her best friend and helped steal money." Community members expressed disgust about her character. Rachel lost her job as a school counselor when her employer learned about her role in financial fraud and affair facilitation. Educational professionals must maintain high ethical standards, her employer explained the termination. Rachel's behavior violates our integrity requirements. Rachel's family relationships were damaged as relatives learned about her systematic manipulation and betrayal of our friendship. "We're ashamed of Rachel's behavior," her parents told mutual friends. What she did to Emma was unforgivable. Rachel was forced to move back in with her parents after losing her job and being unable to afford rent without Jake's income. Rachel went from planning her dream wedding to living in her childhood bedroom. The dramatic reversal was complete. Rachel's social media presence disappeared as she faced constant criticism and judgment about her character and choices. "Everyone knows what Rachel did." Community members made her isolation complete through social consequences. "The successful revenge allowed me to heal from the betrayal while building a stronger career and personal life." Exposing Rachel and Jake's crimes gave me closure. I reflected on the therapeutic value of obtaining justice. Standing up for myself showed me that I'm stronger than I realized. The experience built my confidence and self-respect. I used the recovered $35,000 to start my own marketing consulting business, which became immediately successful. Emma Parker Consulting helps businesses build honest marketing strategies. My professional reputation grew based on integrity and transparency. Clients trust Emma because she's proven she stands up for what's right. Word-of-mouth referrals built my business rapidly. The business success allowed me to achieve financial independence while helping other companies build ethical marketing practices. Emma's experience with deception makes her uniquely qualified to help businesses communicate honestly. Clients appreciated my expertise. I also met David, a fellow entrepreneur who appreciated my strength and integrity rather than trying to manipulate or betray me. David is everything Jake pretended to be. I learned the difference between genuine and performed character. Today, I run a successful consulting firm and am happily engaged to someone who values honesty and treats me as an equal partner. That's how you handle a best friend who steals your fiancé and your money, y'all. You document their crimes and destroy them publicly while they think they've won. Sometimes the best revenge comes from letting criminals expose themselves while you gather evidence for their prosecution. Rachel and Jake thought they could steal my life and money without consequences, but their greed led to federal prosecution and social exile. Never let betrayers convince you that you're overreacting to their crimes, gorgeous souls. Document everything and let the law handle thieves. My fake friendship with Rachel gave me access to the evidence that sent Jake to prison and destroyed her reputation forever. Trust your instincts about people who sabotage your relationships, and remember that true friends support your happiness rather than stealing it. Rachel's systematic manipulation taught me to value genuine friendships and recognize predatory behavior before it can cause damage. Today, both Rachel and Jake face the permanent consequences of their choices while I've built a life based on integrity and real relationships. And gorgeous souls, if this story resonated with you, if you've been betrayed by friends who stole your relationships or money, remember that justice and evidence can defeat even the most calculated manipulators. If you want to hear more stories like this, more tales of best friend revenge, financial theft consequences, and wedding day justice, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Your support means everything to me, beautiful souls. Every like, every comment, every share helps me reach more people who need to hear these stories.